For 20 years, my dad labeled me a mistake and spoiled my brother. At Thanksgiving, he gave me a DNA kit as a joke. Let's check if you're even mine. I took it. Weeks later, the results landed. I sent them to everyone. My mom passed out. My dad froze. Because the test showed I was the only child he ever truly fathered. The coldest words I ever heard weren't shouted in anger, they were whispered with quiet indifference in a hospital hallway. My own son, Ethan, looked me dead in the eye and said, "Chloe just wants her immediate family here. She's never liked you, Mom." I stood under flickering fluorescent lights in that Los Angeles hospital, nurses hurrying past, none of them glancing my way. His voice sounded distant, even though he was only steps away. I searched his eyes, the same eyes I saw open 32 years ago, the ones that once shone with such love. Now, they avoided mine, filled with a shame that made me feel like something to be hidden. And just when I hoped to see a flicker of the boy who once adored his mother, Ethan finished the sentence that shattered my heart, "Please don't push, Mom. She's never liked you." A deafening silence enveloped me. Hospital sounds faded into distant echoes. I stood frozen, feeling a deep crack spread within me. Just hours before, I'd spent 12 grueling hours on a bus, the hard seat smelling of oil and old food, staring out a fogged window as towns and mountains blurred past. All that time, I'd pictured this moment, imagined meeting my grandson. I'd planned every detail, holding Liam for the first time, his tiny warmth, the soft scent of his hair, his smooth skin against my cheek. I'd imagined Ethan's proud smile, Chloe, tired but happy, allowing me to help. I'd imagined everything except this. Never did I think my son would look at me like a stranger, a problem to be managed, a burden to be removed. Then, the sound of my grandson's first cry came from behind that closed door. I stood outside, an outsider, forbidden. I remembered all the nights Ethan cried as a baby, how I carried him until dawn, pacing barefoot across cold floors, humming made-up songs, promising everything would be okay. His father slept soundly then, but I held our child until his cries softened to steady breaths. I remembered the fevers, the rushed trips to the emergency room, the quiet fears only a mother truly understands. And now that same child I'd once protected told me I wasn't welcome at one of the most important moments of his life. My name is Eleanor Vance. I'm 61 years old. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, in a small house with a wide yard and an old apple tree. I grew up helping my mother cook, learning to bake apple pies, listening to her lessons about life and love. I married at 22 to Arthur, a kind, quiet, hard-working man with the warmest heart. We had Ethan when I was 29, and from that moment on, my life revolved around him. When Arthur died suddenly of a heart attack, Ethan was 15. Arthur left quietly, like a door closing without a sound. From then on, it was just us two, my son and me, trying to survive. I sold our small shop and took any job I could find. At night, I cleaned dental offices, my hands smelling of disinfectant. In the afternoons, I worked as a receptionist, coming home with aching feet and a sore back. But I always smiled at Ethan because he was my reason for everything. And now, that same son looked at me with eyes full of distance. I stayed silent, not because I had nothing to say, but because there were too many things that didn't need to be said. I wanted to scream that I'd traveled 12 hours for him. I wanted to remind him of every sacrifice I had made. I wanted to ask when he turned into this cold stranger, but I didn't. My mother once told me sometimes silence is dignity. I nodded, swallowed the burning tears threatening to fall, refusing to break. I picked up my old dark brown leather purse, the one my mother gave me when I turned 30. She said, "Carry this with you during the important moments of your life." She was right. That purse had been with me when Ethan was born, when he graduated, when he moved to Los Angeles to start his career. And now again, witnessing my humiliation. I turned away without a goodbye, without congratulations. I simply walked down the long corridor of Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The lights flickered above me. The air smelled of antiseptic. I passed crying babies, families laughing, new grandparents taking photos. I saw mothers and grandmothers holding newborns, tears of joy in their eyes, and I kept walking. When I stepped outside, the February wind hit my face. I stood on the sidewalk watching cars, people coming and going from the hospital, life continuing as mine seemed to collapse. I didn't know where to go. The bus home wouldn't leave until the next day. I hailed a cab to a cheap hotel nearby, a small room with thin walls and a squeaky bed. Laughter and television echoed from the hallway. I sat at the edge of the bed and finally let the tears fall. I cried harder than I had since the day Arthur passed. I cried for every broken expectation, for the grandson I hadn't met, for the son who once said, "I love you, Mom." I cried for the teenager who wept in my arms the night his father passed, and for the man who had promised to always be there for me. Where was my son now? When did he become this stranger? That night, sleep was impossible. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the city hum, thinking about everything I had lost. In the morning, I took a long hot shower, trying to wash away the grief. I wore the navy blue dress I'd brought for the occasion. I put on light makeup, even though no one would see me, because I didn't want to look defeated. I went down for breakfast, weak coffee, and a stale pastry, but couldn't eat. I spent the whole day wandering the city, walking past shop windows, sitting on park benches, watching families stroll by, mothers holding hands with their children, grandmothers laughing with grandkids. I felt completely hollow. By evening, I went to the bus station and sat waiting. Everyone there had someone picking them up. I had only an empty house waiting for me in Richmond. The bus pulled away. 12 more hours, but I didn't stare out the window, dreaming of joy. I only saw my own reflection, a tired 61-year-old woman, worn down and alone. I wondered if Ethan even realized I was gone. Did he feel regret? Did he think I should have been treated better? Deep down, I knew the answer. Probably not. He was likely happy with his new family, and I had become an uncomfortable memory. When I arrived home, dawn was breaking. Everything was exactly as I'd left it, the unwashed coffee cup, yesterday's newspaper, the silence. Once, that silence meant peace. Now, it meant loneliness. I set my suitcase down, hung the leather purse on the hook, made a cup of coffee, and sat at the kitchen table where Ethan once did his homework while I cooked dinner. Now it was just me. The house felt heavier than ever. But the silence pushed me back into the memories of how everything began. There are memories we keep like perfect photographs, frozen moments from a time when life was simpler. When love hadn't yet hurt us. When motherhood felt natural and pure. Ethan was born on a July morning 32 years ago. That night, it stormed so hard that thunder shook the windows. I lay in bed, clutching my stomach as contractions came faster. Arthur rushed around, fumbling for car keys and the hospital bag, trying to stay calm even as his hands trembled. I kept breathing and said, "Calm down, Arthur. We still have time." But we didn't. The contractions grew stronger, closer. My body knew it was time, even if my mind wasn't ready. Arthur helped me down the stairs. The rain drenched us within seconds. He drove faster than ever, eyes locked on the road, hands gripping the wheel, wipers working at full speed through the downpour. "Hang in there, honey. We're almost there." I sat in the back seat, breathing steadily as I'd learned in class, counting between the waves of pain. Through the rain-covered window, the city blurred, and all I could think was, soon I'll meet my child. We reached the hospital at dawn. Nurses greeted us with kindness. They helped me change, attached monitors, checked the baby's progress. "Things are moving fast, ma'am. This baby can't wait to meet you." Arthur held my hand the entire time, wiping the sweat from my forehead, whispering, "You're doing great, sweetheart. You're amazing." And then, when the time came, when my body felt like it was tearing apart, when the pain almost made me faint, I heard the first cry. My son's cry. "It's a boy," the doctor said. "A healthy, beautiful baby boy." They placed him on my chest, wet, wrinkled, perfect. His tiny fists clenched, his breath quick and fragile. When his skin touched mine, when I felt his warmth and heard his breathing, I knew my life had changed forever. "Hello, my sweet boy," I whispered. "Mommy's here." Arthur stood beside me, tears streaming down his face as he held both of us. In that small hospital room, with rain still tapping against the windows, we were the happiest family in the world. We named him Ethan after my grandfather, a gentle farmer with rough hands and a kind heart. He was patient, soft-spoken, and whenever he looked at someone, his eyes made them feel seen. "I hope he's like Grandpa," I told Arthur as I rocked our baby to sleep. "Kind and generous." Arthur smiled. "With a mother like you, how could he be anything else?" The early years were beautiful, though far from easy. Ethan was a good baby. He hardly cried and slept well. When he was awake, he was curious about everything and always smiling. I still remember those mornings in our little house. Sunlight streaming through the window while his soft babbling echoed from the crib. I'd hold him, feed him, and watch the city come alive outside. Arthur left early each day for work at a small hardware store downtown, modest but steady. He'd leave home at 6 a.m. and come back in the evening exhausted, yet never without a smile for his son. I stayed home to care for Ethan. Back then, I didn't work. We were a traditional family. Arthur earned the money and I made a home. I loved it. I loved watching Ethan grow, learning to sit up, to crawl, to walk. I loved hearing his first words, "Mama." Of course, it was "Mama," because I was always there. When Ethan turned 2, he liked to help me cook, which really meant making more of a mess than anything else. He'd stand on a little chair next to the counter, stirring pots with all his might, flour flying everywhere, his face covered in smudges as he laughed. And I couldn't help but laugh with him. We baked cookies together. I taught him how to knead the dough with his tiny hands, trying to mimic me. The cookies turned out lumpy and uneven, but we baked and ate them anyway, laughing and calling them our masterpieces. "One day you'll be a better baker than me," I said. "I just want to be like you," he answered. Our home always smelled of vanilla, cinnamon, coffee, and something warm baking in the oven. On Sundays, we'd go to the park with an old blanket and sit under a tree. Ethan would run everywhere, chasing pigeons, climbing the slide. Arthur and I would watch him, hand in hand, feeling like we had everything. "We're so lucky," he'd say. "Yes, we are," I'd reply. And we truly were. Time went by quickly. Ethan grew from the little boy I once held in my arms into a teenager taller than me. When he started grade school, I was the kind of mother who never missed a parent-teacher meeting. Always brought homemade treats for the school fair and sewed costumes for class plays. Ethan was a good student, responsible, curious, and hardworking. We'd do homework together at the kitchen table. I tried to help him with math even when I wasn't sure of the answers myself. He'd read his essays to me, stories about superheroes, dinosaurs, astronauts. "Do you want to be a writer someday?" I'd ask. "No, Mom. I want to be an engineer." He'd laugh, because his uncle was a civil engineer, and he admired him deeply. Ethan's uncle always had the patience to answer every question. How do bridges not fall down? Why do tall buildings stay standing? He once told me, "This kid's going places." And I believed it. But when Ethan was 15, our world collapsed. Arthur died suddenly of a heart attack. No warning, no goodbye. That day had started like any other. We had breakfast together. He kissed my forehead and said, "See you tonight, sweetheart." But that night never came. I got the call from the store. "Mrs. Vance, please come to the hospital right away." "What happened to Arthur?" I asked. "He had a heart attack. He's at Cedars-Sinai." I rushed there with Ethan by my side. When a young doctor came out, his face drawn with exhaustion, I knew before he said a word. "We're very sorry. We did everything we could. Your husband passed about 20 minutes ago." Ethan gripped my hand. "Mom?" I didn't know what to say, didn't know how to make him understand that his father wasn't coming back, that our family of 3 had just become 2. They let us see him one last time. Arthur lay still, his face peaceful as if asleep. Ethan stepped forward, gently touching his father's hand. Dad? Then silence. My son, almost a man, yet still my little boy, collapsed into sobs. The days that followed were a blur. The funeral, visitors, financial decisions, selling the store, paying off debts. I had no choice but to sell Arthur's hardware store. The money covered the debts and funeral costs, and what was left, I saved for Ethan's future. I swore to myself that no matter how hard I had to work, my son would have the education he deserved. I got a job cleaning a dental clinic. The pay was small, but it was work. I started at 5 a.m., scrubbing floors, bathrooms, and windows surrounded by the sharp smell of bleach. My hands grew rough. My back ached constantly. But I didn't complain, because I had a son to live for. By 2 p.m., I'd leave the first job and go straight to my evening shift as a receptionist at another clinic. I answered phones, scheduled appointments, smiled at patients even when I was exhausted. I'd get home around 8 p.m., and Ethan would already have dinner ready. He'd wait for me with that same familiar smile. How was your day, Mom? It was fine, sweetheart. How was yours? Good. We'd eat together, talking about his classes, his friends, the little things that made up our days. In those quiet evenings, just the two of us at the kitchen table, I felt like maybe everything would be okay. We still had each other, and that was enough. Ethan graduated high school with excellent grades. He applied to several universities and was accepted into the civil engineering program at the University of Pennsylvania. They accepted you? I asked, holding back tears. We did it, Mom. You did it, he said, hugging me tightly. I don't know what I'd do without you. You'll never have to find out. I'll always be here, I told him. And I meant it. His college years were hard, but full of pride. He studied late into the night, sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by stacks of books and a cold cup of coffee. Many nights I stayed up with him, preparing small snacks, sitting beside him in silence. He was tired. I was tired. But somehow that made me feel whole. Do you know what I want to do when I graduate? He asked one night. What's that? I want to build a bridge, a big one that connects people. You'll do it. I'm sure of it. He smiled. And when I do, I'll name it after you. No, I laughed. Name it after your dad. He smiled softly. Then I'll name it after both of you. The Arthur and Eleanor Bridge. That sounds better. Every Sunday we'd still go to the park. No more old blanket, just long walks and quiet talks under the sun. We were a team, mother and son, against the world. Or at least that's what I believed. In his final year of college, Ethan started talking about moving to Los Angeles. There are more opportunities there, Mom. But it's so far. Not that far. Just a few hours by bus. You know, I'll always support you, but I'm scared. You're everything to me. He took my hand. And you're everything to me, Mom. But I have to do this. I have to grow up. He was right. But that didn't stop my heart from aching. Ethan graduated with top honors. I sat in the front row, tears streaming as I watched him receive his diploma. I thought of Arthur, of how proud he would have been. I thought of all those nights mopping floors, all those early mornings. Every sacrifice had been worth it. 2 months later, Ethan got a job at a large construction company in Los Angeles. Good pay, great benefits. You did it, I said. We did it, he replied. I helped him prepare for everything, paid the apartment deposit, bought furniture, office clothes. I nearly emptied my savings, but I didn't regret a cent. It was for my son. The day Ethan left was one of the hardest of my life. I took him to the bus station, helped with his luggage, sat beside him in the waiting room. When they announced his bus, we hugged for a long time. Take care of yourself, sweetheart. You, too, Mom. I'll call when I get there. Eat properly. Don't live on takeout. I know. And get enough sleep, Mom. I'll be fine. I just. I'll miss you so much. I'll miss you, too. He stepped onto the bus, found a seat by the window, and waved. Goodbye. I stood there watching through the foggy glass, trying to memorize his face. The bus pulled away, shrinking into the stream of traffic until it disappeared. In that noisy station, I felt completely hollow, the loneliest I'd been since Arthur's passing. I took a taxi home, staring out the window without really seeing anything. When I walked through the door, the house was heavy with silence. I went into Ethan's room, his bed neatly made, his desk cleared. Only a few mementos left, some old posters, a couple of school trophies. I sat on his bed, still smelling a trace of him, and burst into tears. Tears for my son leaving, for the empty house, for realizing that for 17 years I had lived only for him and forgotten how to live for myself. I told myself, this is normal, Eleanor. Children grow up and leave. That's life. I tried to believe it, to feel proud, to tell myself I had fulfilled my duty as a mother, raising him until he could stand on his own. But deep down, I felt something else. The emptiness wasn't just from his absence. It was a quiet sense that something had changed forever. Maybe my son, the boy who once hugged me in the park, the teenager who cried in my arms when his father died, the young man who said, I couldn't have done this without you, was slowly disappearing. And the man growing up out there in the world would someday be someone I no longer recognized. For the first 3 months, everything seemed fine. Good enough for me to believe distance wouldn't break us. Ethan called every night after work, always at 9 p.m. No matter what I was doing, I'd answer immediately. Mom, it's me. How was your day? Good, sweetheart. How was yours? We talked about everything, his projects at work, his coworkers, the fast-paced city that still overwhelmed him. It's huge, Mom. So many people, so much traffic, so loud. Do you like it? I do, but it's exhausting. Sometimes I miss how quiet Philadelphia was. You can always come home. You know, this house is waiting for you. I know, Mom. Thank you. I'd tell him about my work at the clinic with Sophia, my old friend, about the weather, the neighbors, the small things in the neighborhood. Those simple conversations meant the world to me. They kept a thread between us alive. But weekends were the hardest. Saturday mornings, I'd wake to silence, the same silence that had once been filled with Ethan's footsteps, his music, his laughter. I'd clean the house even though it was spotless. Cook even though it was just me. Turn on the TV without really watching. Sophia often came by on Sunday afternoons. Eleanor, you need to get out more, meet new people. You can't just stay home waiting for Ethan's call. I'm not waiting. I just like the quiet. Quiet? She said softly, smiling sadly. That's loneliness. Maybe she was right, though I wasn't ready to admit it. Then one Tuesday night, Ethan didn't call. I waited until 9:30. Nothing. At 10 o'clock, I texted, "Are you okay?" An hour later, he replied, "Yes, sorry, Mom. I've been really busy." That's all right. Do you want to talk for a bit? I'm exhausted, Mom. Tomorrow. Okay. Okay. Get some rest. He called the next day, but only for 15 minutes instead of hours. Sorry, Mom. I have to finish something for work. That's fine, sweetheart. I understand. And I did, at least I wanted to believe I did. Work was busy. That was normal. But then the calls became less frequent, every other day, then every few days, then just once a week. The change crept in slowly, quietly, like the tide receding. You don't notice until you're standing on bare sand, wondering when the ocean disappeared. When we did talk, Ethan's voice sounded distant, drained. Are you okay? You sound tired. I'm fine, Mom. Just worn out. Are you eating properly? Yeah. Sleeping enough? Yes. Mom, are you sure? A sigh. Mom, I'm fine. Just really busy. I understand. I don't want to bother you. You're not bothering me, but his voice said otherwise. I tried not to call too often, waiting for him to reach out first, but the gaps between calls grew longer. A week, then 2, once, 18 days. 18 days waking up each morning hoping the phone would ring, checking messages over and over, wondering if I'd done something wrong, if I'd somehow made him tired of me. When Ethan finally called, I tried to sound casual. Oh, what a surprise, sweetheart. Hi, Mom. How are you? I'm fine. And you? Good. Really good. Actually, I'm calling because I have some news. My chest tightened. What is it, honey? Chloe and I are getting married. The world stopped. The ticking clock, the hum of the refrigerator, the dog barking outside, all faded. Mom, are you still there? Yes. Yes, I am. Sorry. I'm just surprised. A good surprise, right? I swallowed hard. Of course. Congratulations, sweetheart. I'm so happy for you. And I was happy, but also confused, scared, and aching. Happy that he'd found love. Afraid that everything was changing too fast and aching because I barely knew the woman who would share his life. In my head, one question echoed silently, will there still be a place for me in this new life? Thanks, Mom. I'm so excited. The wedding will be in 3 months. Just something simple in Los Angeles with close family and friends. Of course, I'll be there. A short pause. Great. I'll send you the details by email. Email? Yes, Mom. Chloe's organizing everything online. It's easier that way. I see. But I didn't see it all. Anyway, I have more people to call and tell the news. You've told others already? Yeah. Chloe's parents, her sister, a few friends. And your mother finds out last. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Mom, please don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm just asking. It doesn't sound like asking. Mom, you're important to me, but I have a lot to handle right now. Not everything revolves around you. Those words hit me like a blow. I never said everything revolved around me. Then don't take it so personally. How can I not, Ethan? I'm your mother. Exactly. You're my mother, not my wife. Chloe is my priority now. The room went silent, heavy, suffocating, full of things neither of us could say. Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just stressed about the wedding. There's too much to do. Too much going on. I understand. Really. Thanks, Mom. Love you. Love you, too. I heard the long tone of the call ending, but kept the phone pressed to my ear, feeling my heart crack a little more. My son was marrying a woman I'd never met, in a wedding I hadn't been part of planning, and I still had to smile and congratulate him because that's what a mother is supposed to do. 2 days later, I received the invitation by email. It was elegant and beautifully designed in soft beige and gold tones. There was a photo of Ethan and Chloe, my son beaming with joy, her radiant in a white dress, soft curls falling over her shoulders. They looked happy, in love. And I, staring at that photo, felt like an outsider. The card read, Ethan Miller and Chloe Peterson cordially invite you to their wedding. No, dear Mom. No, we can't wait to share this special day with you. Just, cordially invite, as if I were a distant acquaintance, a colleague, a name on a list. I printed the invitation. I'm not sure why. Maybe to see it with my own eyes and believe it was real. I pinned it to the refrigerator door with a magnet. Each time I passed through the kitchen, looking at it made my chest tighten all over again. A week later, I gathered my courage and called Ethan. Sweetheart, I got the invitation. Oh, good. What do you think? It's beautiful. But I wanted to ask, do you think I could meet Chloe before the wedding? Maybe we could have coffee, get to know each other a little. Silence for a few seconds. That's tough, Mom. Chloe and I are swamped, cake tasting, flowers, photographers. Everything's chaos. I understand. But that's why I thought I could help. After all, I am your mother. I know. But Chloe has her own ideas. Her mom's helping a lot, too. You know how brides are. They want everything perfect. I froze. Her mom's helping, but I'm not. You'll have plenty of time to get to know each other after the wedding, Mom, when things settle down. All right, then. I guess I'll see you both at the wedding. But could I at least call her beforehand? It would be nice to introduce myself. Another uncomfortable pause. I'll ask, but she's really stressed. I don't want to add more pressure. Pressure? The word stung, as if my very existence was a burden. That's fine, sweetheart. I don't want to cause trouble. You're not causing trouble. It's just, no, I don't know. I really have to go, Mom. Talk soon. Okay, take care. I set the phone down and realized my hands were trembling. Not from cold, but from anger, pain, and helplessness. No matter what I said or did, I was being pushed to the edges of my own son's life. And the worst part was he didn't even notice. Or maybe he did and just didn't care. Days turned into weeks, then months. During that time, Ethan called only 3 times, short, rushed conversations filled with reasons to hang up. I swallowed every question, every longing to be part of his life, because I didn't want to be the annoying mother. I tried to stay patient, kind, composed, even as my heart quietly broke apart. Sophia often came by the house, trying to get me out at movies, walks, lunch, anything to pull me from the spiral of my thoughts. Eleanor, you can't keep waiting like this. You're torturing yourself, pretending to be fine when clearly you're not. I'm fine. No, you're not. And that's okay. What's not okay is pretending. But pretending was so much easier than facing the truth. And the truth hurt too much. 2 weeks before the wedding, I decided I needed to buy something to wear. After all, I was still the mother of the groom. I went to the mall, walking from one store to another, trying on dress after dress, blouse after blouse, gown after gown. But none of them made me feel the way I wanted to feel, important, valued, like a mother of the groom should feel. Every dress made me feel smaller, dimmer. In the end, I chose a simple navy blue dress, elegant enough, appropriate for a regular guest. I bought a new pair of shoes and stopped by the hair salon near my house. Special occasion, the stylist asked. My son's wedding. Oh my, that's wonderful. He must be thrilled to share that day with you. I smiled. I suppose so. A gentle lie, because lying to strangers is easier than admitting the truth. The day before the wedding, I took a long-distance bus to Los Angeles, 12 hours, but nothing like the last time. No excitement, no anticipation, just a heavy sense of dread. I arrived early. Ethan had sent the address of a small 3-star hotel near the venue. The room was plain. I checked in, set down my suitcase, sat on the bed, and cried just for a few minutes. Then I had to stop. I needed to be calm, strong, ready. The ceremony was at 4 p.m. in a garden on the south side of the city. I arrived early, not too early, but I didn't want to be late either. It was beautiful, white flowers everywhere, elegantly arranged tables, musicians tuning their instruments. I stood at the entrance, feeling like I didn't belong there. I saw Chloe from a distance, standing among a group of beautiful women, laughing brightly. I took a deep breath and walked toward her. She turned, her eyes scanning me from head to toe, lingering a moment on my shoes, my dress, my hair. In that 1 second, I knew exactly what she was thinking. This woman doesn't belong here. But she smiled, the perfect, practiced smile. You must be Mrs. Eleanor, Ethan's mother. Yes, it's so lovely to meet you, Chloe. I leaned in to hug her, but it was a cold, polite gesture, more a formality than warmth. It's a pleasure to meet you. Ethan's told me so much about you. I doubted that, but I smiled anyway. You look beautiful. Thank you. The pause between us stretched. I'm sorry. I have to get back to the guests. You know how it is. And she walked away, not asking if I was tired from the trip, not introducing me to anyone. Just walked away. I stood there in that glowing garden, surrounded by strangers, feeling utterly alone. I searched for Ethan. He was near the aisle, talking to a few men in suits. He looked happy. I walked over. I'm here, sweetheart. He turned, gave me a quick hug. I'm glad you made it, Mom. Thanks for coming. As if I had a choice. How do you feel? Nervous? Happy? Everything at once. That's normal, honey. Someone called him over. Sorry, Mom. I've got to greet the guests. I'll see you later. Okay. Of course. And I was alone again. I found my seat. Each chair had a name card. Mine was in the third row. Not the first, not even the second. Those were for Chloe's parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. I, the mother of the groom, sat in the third row among distant relatives and friends of the bride's family. I swallowed my tears. It's fine, I told myself. As long as Ethan's happy. But it wasn't fine. Not even close. The ceremony was beautiful. Ethan looked radiant. Chloe, stunning. When they exchanged vows, I cried not just from joy, but from the ache of losing my son for good. After the wedding, everything fell quiet. Not the comforting kind of quiet, but the emptiness that makes you realize something precious is gone. Ethan called only once after, returning from the honeymoon, a week in Maui, Hawaii, that I'd already seen all over Chloe's social media. Pictures of beaches, fancy restaurants, champagne glasses, smiles, kisses. I hit like on every post, commenting, "You two look amazing. Congratulations." Chloe never replied, not once. When Ethan called, his voice was light, cheerful. Hi, Mom. How have you been? I'm fine. How was the trip? Incredible. Maui's beautiful. You should go sometime. I just smiled, biting back the thought, with what money? And you? What have you been up to? The usual. Work and home? Nothing special? Not really. A long pause. I just wanted to say hi. We're reorganizing the apartment. Chloe brought so much stuff. We're still sorting it all out. That's fine, honey. Take care of your things. I'll call again soon. Whenever you have time. Sure. Take care, Mom. The line went dead. 5 minutes. The whole conversation lasted exactly 5 minutes. I sat staring at the phone, the emptiness in my chest spreading wider. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. Ethan called maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. Short, shallow, hurried conversations. How are you, Mom? I'm fine. How are you and Chloe? Good. Everything's good. I'm happy for you too. When will you come visit? It's been so long. Soon, Mom. Soon. Soon. That empty promise. He always used it to quiet me, but soon never came. I tried to fill my long days. Sophia and I signed up for a knitting class at the community center nearby. I learned to knit scarves, hats, then baby blankets. One day, Sophia asked, "Who are all these baby blankets for?" I answered without thinking. For when I have a grandchild. Sophia just looked at me, saying nothing. We both knew that might be a long way off, or so I thought. Then one Tuesday night, Ethan called with news that took my breath away. Chloe's pregnant, Mom. The world around me stopped. The TV, the fridge, the traffic outside all went silent. Mom, are you there? Yes. Yes, I am. What did you just say? Chloe's pregnant. I'm going to be a dad. Tears filled my eyes. My heart swelled, half pain, half joy. You have no idea how happy that makes me. I meant it. After all those years of raising him alone, after everything, I was finally going to be a grandmother. How far along is she? 3 months. 3 months. And he was only telling me now. Why didn't you tell me sooner? We wanted to wait through the first trimester. You know how risky it can be. I see. But deep down, I knew others must have known before me. Is Chloe feeling well? She's tired, but doing fine. Really excited. I'm happy for you both. Do you know the gender yet? Not yet. The doctor will tell us at the next appointment. That's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy, too. Just a little nervous. I heard my son's real voice again. Warm, sincere. You're going to be an amazing father. I hope so. I know you will. A brief pause, an easy silence we hadn't shared in a long time. Thanks for always being there, Mom. I couldn't hold back my tears. I'll always be here, Ethan. Always. We talked for a while longer. He told me about fixing up the baby's room, about names they were considering. After hanging up, I sat and cried again, but tears of happiness. I believed this baby would bring my son back to me, that I'd finally get to be a grandmother in every sense. I was so naive. The days that followed were the happiest I'd had in months. I shared the news with Sophia, with my coworkers, with the ladies in my knitting class. I'm going to be a grandma. Everyone congratulated me, hugged me, shared my excitement. I started knitting a baby blanket, blue for a boy, pink for a girl, finally settling on yellow just to be safe. Each stitch carried love and a prayer for the little one I already loved with all my heart, though I hadn't met him yet. A few days later, I called Ethan. Sweetheart, I'm knitting a blanket for the baby. That's wonderful. Thanks, Mom. Can I make a hat and tiny booties, too? Do whatever makes you happy, Mom. Is Chloe there? Let me talk to her. I want to congratulate her. Silence. She's resting, Mom. I'll tell her to call you. Promise. Promise. But Chloe never called. I sent her a message on Facebook. Congratulations, Chloe. I'm so happy to be a grandma soon. If you need anything, I'm here. The message was read, but no reply. A week later, I tried again. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Sending hugs. Again, silence. I told myself she was tired, busy, but I knew the truth. I called Ethan again. Sweetheart, I messaged Chloe, but she didn't answer. She's fine, Mom, just tired. Tell her to call me for a minute. I just want to check in. Chloe's not big on phone calls, Mom. She prefers texting. But I texted her and she didn't respond. She's sensitive lately. It's the pregnancy. Another excuse. There was always an excuse keeping me away. Time passed, and the only way I could follow Chloe's pregnancy was through Facebook. She posted photos of her belly, baby clothes, the nursery. It was a boy. They were naming him Liam. Liam, my grandson. I commented under every post. So adorable. Can't wait to meet you, little one. Love you both so much. Chloe never replied, though she answered everyone else's comments. I tried convincing myself I was imagining things, that I was too sensitive, but it was hard to deny the truth. I sent them a package, the blanket I'd knitted, a teddy bear, and a handwritten card. To my future grandson, Grandma can't wait to meet you. I love you more than words can say. 2 weeks later, Ethan texted, got the package, Mom. Thanks. The blanket's beautiful. That was it. No photo of Chloe holding it. No thank you. Nothing. I called back. Did Chloe like it?
Yeah.
Mom. I told you. I just thought she'd call to say thank you. Mom, she's not really the expressive type. Not even a message. She's exhausted, Mom. Pregnancy's been tough. Same line again. And how about you? How are you feeling? A bit nervous, but excited. Chloe and her mom are taking prenatal classes. I froze. Chloe and her mom. Not you. I go when I can, Mom. Work's busy. I wanted to ask why Chloe's mother got to be part of everything while I was left out, but I didn't want to sound jealous, so I stayed silent. Sweetheart, when Liam's born, I'll be able to visit, right? I shouldn't have needed to ask. Of course, a grandmother has that right? But I knew things weren't that simple. Of course, Mom. When exactly? Probably after the birth. I think Chloe should rest first. I understand. But after that, I can come meet him. Right? Definitely, Mom. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Which meant, don't count on it. All right, Mom. Chloe's calling me. Tell her I said hi. Sure. Take care, Mom. I hung up, staring at the old photos pinned to my fridge. Ethan as a newborn, his first day of school, his graduation. I thought of the baby I once held in my arms, now a grown man, slowly pushing his mother out of his life. 32 years of love and care, now replaced by distance and silence. That afternoon, Sophia came by. How's Ethan? He's fine. Chloe's pregnant. That's wonderful. When's she due? 3 months. Have you made plans to visit? I stayed quiet. Eleanor, did they invite you? Ethan said, yes. But after the baby's born, Chloe needs rest. Sophia looked at me with the same knowing eyes. Eleanor, what's really going on? I looked down at my cup of tea and whispered, I think Chloe doesn't want me around. Why do you think that? She ignores my messages, never thanked me for the gift, and Ethan always has an excuse. Her mother gets to be part of everything, and I'm shut out. Tears filled my eyes. I feel like they're pushing me out of my grandson's life before he's even born. Sophia hugged me. I don't know what to do anymore, Sophia. I've been patient, kept my distance, tried not to bother them, but nothing's changing. Have you told Ethan how you feel? I can't. If I say anything, they'll call me the meddling mother-in-law, the overbearing grandmother, and then I'll lose my grandson for good. Sophia sighed. You haven't lost your son, Eleanor. But we both knew the truth, I already had. Or at least I'd lost the son I used to know. The boy who once called me every day, told me everything, made me feel like I mattered, no longer existed. The man he'd become treated me like an obligation, a task to manage, a problem to solve. 2 weeks before my grandson was due, I gathered all my courage and called Ethan. Sweetheart, I need to talk to you. What's wrong, Mom? I want to be there when Liam is born. Silence. Mom, we've talked about this. No, we haven't. You just said we'll see, but I need to know for sure now. I need to plan. Buy tickets. I don't think that's a good idea, Mom. The floor seemed to drop beneath me. Why not? Chloe's under a lot of stress. The doctor said she needs peace and quiet. Are you saying my presence would stress her out? No, it's just she doesn't want too many people around. Too many people? I'm your mother. I'm the baby's grandmother. I know, Mom. But what? I could hear Chloe's voice faintly in the background. Mom, let's talk about this later. No, Ethan, please just tell me the truth. A long silence followed. Chloe thinks maybe it's better if you wait a few days. Let us settle in first. And what do you think? I have to support my wife, Mom. She's the one giving birth. The one who needs rest right now. I wouldn't hurt her, Ethan. I never said you would. Then why can't I come? Because she needs space, Mom. Why can't you understand that? His voice turned sharp, defensive. I understand, but I don't understand why Chloe's mother can be there. And I can't. Because that's her mother, and you're mine. It's different. Different how? It just is, Mom. Ethan, please. Mom, don't make this harder. I'm already under so much stress. Chloe's about to give birth, work's insane. Can you just this once not make things more difficult? Those words pierce straight through my heart. More difficult? You think me wanting to see my grandchild is making things harder? Now's not the time, Mom. Then when is? When I say so. The air grew cold between us. I took a deep breath. I see. I knew you'd understand. But I didn't understand anything except that my son was shutting me out of his life, out of one of its most important moments. I'll let you know when the baby's born. Do whatever you think is best. Don't be like that, Mom. I'm fine. Just respecting what you and Chloe want. Thank you. You're welcome. I love you. Love you, too. But I wasn't sure those words meant anything anymore. I hung up before I started crying. I sat in my chair and cried harder than I had in months. I cried for the grandchild I might never hold. For the son who'd chosen to shut me out. For the bond between us that was slowly dying while I could only watch. I cried for myself, for the woman who had given everything and was now left with nothing. The day Liam was born was one of the strangest days of my life. Joy and pain all tangled together. I didn't get a call, a message, or any notification. I found out through Facebook. It was late afternoon, and I was mopping the last room of my shift when my phone buzzed. A Facebook notification. Normally, I'd ignore it until I got home, but for some reason, I opened it. It was a post from Chloe. The photo showed a newborn baby boy wrapped in a hospital blanket. Tiny, perfect eyes closed, fists clenched, skin still pink, wearing a white cap. The caption read, "The love of our lives has arrived. Welcome, Liam Miller Peterson. Mom and baby are healthy." I froze in the middle of the room, still holding the mop, eyes fixed on the screen. My grandson's face appeared on my screen, and I realized I was seeing him for the first time like a stranger. Tears streamed down my face. I sank to the floor, gloves still on, and sobbed. A coworker walked in, alarmed. "Eleanor, what happened? Are you okay?" I couldn't speak. I just held up my phone. My grandson was born. That's wonderful. Then why are you crying? Her face changed instantly. She understood everything. Eleanor, she helped me up, took off my gloves, and led me to the restroom to wash my face. Go home. I'll finish your shift. But there's still. It's fine. Go call your son. I grabbed my purse and left the clinic. I don't remember how I got to the bus stop or how I made it home. All I knew was that somehow I ended up sitting in my kitchen, phone in hand, zooming in on my grandson's photo, memorizing every detail. He had Ethan's nose, a high forehead, tiny hands that looked just like my son's when he was little. He was beautiful. I zoomed in further. His lips, his cheeks, the curve of his little fingers. There were hundreds of comments under the post. Congratulations to you both. He's adorable. Welcome to the world, little one. I didn't comment. I didn't know what to say or if I even had the right to say anything when I'd been excluded from the moment. Then I saw a comment from Chloe's mother. My beloved grandson, Grandma loves you with all her heart. Welcome to the world. So she had been there in the delivery room beside Chloe, maybe even the first to hold Liam. Everything I had dreamed of doing. I scrolled down. Friends, coworkers, relatives, all congratulating them. Everyone knew. Everyone was celebrating. Everyone except me, the grandmother who found out last. I waited 1 hour, 2 hours, 3, staring at my phone, waiting for Ethan to call, to text, to say just one sentence, "Mom, my son is here." But the screen stayed silent. By 8 p.m., I couldn't take it anymore. I called him myself. 6 rings before he answered, "Mom." His voice sounded tired, but happy. I saw the picture. "Congratulations, sweetheart." "Oh, thanks, Mom." "Is Chloe okay?" "She's fine. Exhausted, but good. It was a long labor, but everything went well." "I'm so glad." "Liam's beautiful." "Thank you." Silence. He didn't mention how I found out. Didn't apologize. Didn't explain. Nothing. "Ethan, why didn't you call me?" I heard him sigh. "I'm sorry, Mom. Everything happened so fast. Chloe went into labor early this morning. We rushed to the hospital. By afternoon, she delivered. And then we had paperwork and settling into the room." "But you still had time to post on Facebook?" "That was Chloe. She had time to post. But you didn't have time to call your mother." My voice came out sharper than I meant. "Mom, please don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm just trying to understand why I had to find out through social media. I told you, it all happened so fast. So fast you couldn't spare 2 words in 12 hours? Liam's here?" I was exhausted, Mom. Not too exhausted to tell the whole internet. "Mom, stop making this a big deal." A big deal? I could barely breathe. "Ethan, I'm your mother. Liam's grandmother. I'm not some stranger online. I deserve to know first." "You're right. I'm sorry. I should have called, but it's done now. You know, Liam's healthy. Everyone's fine." His apology sounded hollow. "Can I come see him?" The question slipped out like a plea. "Mom, we've talked about this." "No, we haven't. You said to wait, but now the baby's here. I don't need to wait anymore. Chloe needs to rest. I won't bother anyone. I just want to see him for a few minutes. Now's not the time." "Then when is?" "I don't know, Mom. Give us a few days." "Ethan, he's your son. He's my grandson. Please, just respect that." "I do respect you, Mom, but you can't come right now." "Why not?" "Because Chloe doesn't want visitors." And there it was. He'd finally said what I'd known all along. She doesn't want even her mother-in-law. She only wants close family around. I am close family, Ethan. I said it softly, but my voice trembled with tears. Chloe's family, her parents, her sister, they were close family. I was not. "Mom, enough. I don't want to argue. Just give me some time. I'll tell you when you can visit." My eyes burned, but I held back my tears. I wouldn't cry on the phone. "All right, Ethan. Thanks for understanding, but I didn't understand a thing. Take care of yourself, son." "You, too," he said, then hung up. I sat in the kitchen, still holding the phone, feeling the world crumble around me. Over the next 2 weeks, I followed my grandson's life through Facebook. Chloe posted every day, Liam sleeping, yawning, his tiny hand wrapped around someone's finger, lying in his crib, nursing. Each photo looked like it belonged in a magazine. In some, that other woman, Chloe's mother, appeared. One picture showed her holding Liam, beaming with pride. The caption read, "With the best grandma in the world. Thank you, Mom, for being here from day one. I couldn't have done this without you." I stared at that picture for hours. That grandmother got to hold him, be there, beloved, and appreciated. And I sat hundreds of miles away, staring at a screen, invisible, unnecessary, forgotten. At first, I still left comments. So precious. Grandma loves you. Wishing you all the best. Chloe never replied, though she responded to everyone else. After a few days, I stopped. What was the point? Even my presence online wasn't welcome. Sophia, my best friend, started coming over almost every day. She always found me sitting at the kitchen table, eyes glued to my phone, staring at photos of a child I wasn't allowed to touch. Eleanor, this isn't healthy. I know. Have you talked to Ethan? He told me to be patient. Said I'd get to meet the baby soon. It's been 2 weeks. I know. And you're just going to sit here and wait? What else can I do? You can speak up, set boundaries, tell him this isn't fair. If I do that, they'll shut me out completely. Eleanor, they already have. What else can they take from you? She was right. But I was still afraid of losing whatever little I had left. By the 3rd week, I decided to try one more time. I texted Ethan. Sweetheart, it's been 3 weeks. Please let me come see Liam. I promise I won't be a bother. I just want to hold him once, that's all. It took him 4 hours to reply. So, let me talk to Chloe. 2 days later, another message. You can come this weekend, but just for 1 day. Chloe's still recovering and doesn't want too many visitors. 1 day. Just 1 day to meet my grandson. But it was better than nothing. Thank you, sweetheart. I'll be there. I booked the bus ticket that same night. The trip would take all night, and I'd arrive early Saturday morning. I packed a small bag, even if I was only staying for a day. I picked out a nice pair of slacks, a light blouse, and flat shoes, comfortable, but neat. I wanted to look put together, to show Chloe I wasn't some shabby old woman, that I was someone respectable, someone worthy of dignity. I brought a few gifts. A pale blue outfit embroidered with tiny bears. A new knitted blanket with Liam stitched on it. And inside my purse, I placed an old photo of Ethan at 5 years old, hugging me in the park. I didn't know why I brought it. Maybe because I needed something to remind me of the son who once loved his mother. Friday night, I boarded the bus. 12 hours staring out the dark window, imagining the moment I would finally hold my grandson, see his tiny face, feel his baby soft skin, breathe him in. I had dreamed of that moment for 9 months. Saturday morning, I arrived in the city, changed clothes in a public restroom, brushed my hair, sprayed a little perfume, and put on some light makeup, even though my hands were trembling. Ethan had told me to meet them at Cedars-Sinai where Chloe had a pediatric appointment. I called a cab. The traffic was terrible, but I made it. In the waiting room, I saw Chloe holding Liam, my son sitting beside her, eyes glued to his phone. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. I walked toward them slowly, as if approaching something sacred. Ethan. He looked up, his face a mix of surprise and unease. I'm here. He just nodded. Didn't stand up. Didn't hug me. Good morning. I smiled and turned to Chloe. She glanced at me from head to toe, examining every detail before giving a small, polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. Eleanor, how nice you made it. Thank you for letting me come. My voice came out softer than I wanted. I looked down at the baby in her arms. Liam, my grandson, you're beautiful. Thank you. May I hold him? Chloe tightened her arms around the baby. He's asleep. If I move him, he'll wake up and fuss. That's okay. I can wait. I sat down beside them, trying to keep things light. Ethan stayed focused on his phone. Chloe stared straight ahead, and I stared at the baby, trying to glimpse his little face through the blanket. How are you feeling? I asked quietly. Fine, just tired. That's normal. The first days are always tough.
Yeah.
Silence. Is he feeding well? Yes. Sleeping okay? More or less. Each answer short, cold, a reminder that she didn't want to talk to me. 20 heavy minutes passed. Finally, Liam stirred, opening his eyes, making a soft sound. Now, maybe I can hold him? I asked, hopeful. Chloe held him tighter. He's hungry. I need to feed him. She stood and walked straight to the restroom before I could say another word. I sat there with Ethan, humiliation washing over me. How are you doing, sweetheart? I'm fine, Mom, but he didn't look at me. Chloe stayed inside for half an hour. When she came out, the doctor called their name. They both went in while I stayed behind like a stranger in the waiting area. 45 minutes later, they came out. Chloe was talking to the doctor about the next appointment, holding Liam. Ethan walked beside her, carrying the bag. Neither of them looked at me. I hurried to catch up. How did it go, honey? Everything's great. Liam's healthy, growing fast. That's wonderful. Maybe we could go to your place. I'd love to see where you live. Ethan and Chloe exchanged glances. Actually, Mom, Chloe's tired. We were going to grab something to eat and then rest. I can come along. They exchanged another look. My family's coming over this afternoon, Chloe said, meeting my eyes. It'll be crowded. That's okay. I'd like to meet them. It wouldn't be comfortable. It'll be noisy. You'll get tired. I will, too. She said it like she was being considerate, but I knew they just wanted me gone. I looked at Ethan, hoping he'd say, Mom, you're my mother. Of course, you can stay. But he only put his hand on my shoulder and said softly, Mom, please don't make this harder. Those same words again. I felt something break inside me. All right, I answered, my voice strange even to myself. I understand. Really? Ethan said, relieved.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. I knew you'd understand. We stopped at a cafe near the hospital. I ordered a sandwich I couldn't swallow. The conversation was stiff, awkward. Chloe nursed the baby at the table, pulling a blanket over her shoulder. I turned my head to give her privacy, though all I wanted was to look at the child. An hour later, Ethan checked his watch. Mom, it's getting late. We'll take you to the bus station. I had traveled 12 hours, met them for 2, and now they were sending me back. So soon. Chloe needs to rest before her family comes over. I nodded. Outside, Ethan hailed a taxi. And it was in that cab that I finally held my grandson. 5 minutes. Just 5 short minutes. Chloe handed Liam to me hesitantly, as if afraid I might drop something precious. I took him in my trembling arms. His tiny body was soft and warm, smelling faintly of milk. His eyes were closed, lashes long and curled, cheeks round, lips softly sucking even in sleep. I touched his small hand, warm, delicate, and his tiny fingers instinctively wrapped around mine. My sweet grandson, Liam, I whispered. Tears rose, but I held them back. I wouldn't cry. I kissed his forehead and murmured, Hello, darling. I'm Eleanor, your grandma. I'm sorry I couldn't be here sooner. I love you so much. The cab reached the station too soon. Chloe reached out to take him back. I looked at Liam one last time, memorizing every line, every shade of his skin, the warmth of his little body in my hands, before letting go. Ethan got out with me, grabbing my suitcase. Thanks for coming, Mom. Of course, honey. He hugged me quickly, awkwardly. Take care. You, too. Call me when I can, Mom. He climbed back in and before closing the door, said, Thanks for understanding. I didn't answer. The car drove off. I stood there watching until it disappeared into traffic. Alone at the station entrance, my suitcase by my feet. I felt as if the whole world had collapsed. 12 hours traveling, 2 hours visiting, 5 minutes holding my grandson, 12 hours returning. And inside me was a pain. So real, so sharp, it felt like someone had opened my chest and taken out the most vital part. I went inside, bought a bottle of water I couldn't drink, sat on a plastic bench waiting for the bus, and pulled out my phone. Chloe had just posted a new photo, breakfast at the cafe. She and Ethan were smiling, Liam asleep between them. The caption read, "A perfect morning with the ones I love." I wasn't in the picture. As if I had never been there, as if I had never existed. And right there in that crowded, noisy bus terminal, I finally understood everything. They didn't want me in their lives. Chloe would never accept me, and Ethan had made his choice. My son had chosen to erase his mother. The bus arrived. I boarded, found a window seat. During the long ride home, I didn't cry. I didn't even look outside. I just took out the old photo of Ethan at 5 years old, hugging me in the park, and stared at it for hours. I tried to remember when everything had changed. When the boy who once needed his mother became the man who saw her as a burden, when love turned into obligation, when I became invisible in his eyes. I got home at dawn, the first light slipping through the taxi window. The house was exactly as I'd left it, quiet and empty. I set down my suitcase, hung my purse by the door, and sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Ethan and I once shared meals, laughter, and even tears. I made a cup of coffee, not because I was hungry, but to fill the silence, and right there in that familiar kitchen, sipping the bitter coffee, my life changed. The phone rang. A strange number from Los Angeles. My heart tightened. Maybe Ethan. Maybe he regretted everything and wanted to apologize. I picked up. "Hello? Is this Mrs. Eleanor Vance?" It wasn't my son's voice. It was a woman's professional, detached tone. "Yes. Speaking. Good morning, Mrs. Vance. I'm calling from the finance department at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center." My blood turned cold. "We need to clarify payment for Mrs. Chloe Peterson's delivery bill." "Your daughter-in-law," she continued. "Insurance covered most of the charges, but there's a remaining balance of $10,000 for the private room, special medication, and additional procedures. Your son, Mr. Ethan Miller, listed your phone number as the emergency contact for payment." Emergency contact for money. He hadn't called me in 3 weeks. Hadn't let me near when my grandchild was born. Had given me only 2 hours to visit and 5 minutes to hold him, but he'd given them my number to collect the bill. "Mrs. Vance, are you still there?" I breathed slowly, my heart pounding. Everything rushed back. The years of cleaning houses from dawn to pay his school fees. The sleepless nights when he was sick. The store I sold so he could go to college. Every drop of sweat, every tear, every sacrifice that put him before myself. I thought of how he'd treated me, how he'd pushed me away. Humiliated me again and again. And now, another humiliation, turning me into an ATM, as if money were my only worth. "Can you make the payment this week?" the woman asked briskly. I took a deep breath. Something inside me shattered, but not from pain, from awakening. "Mrs. Vance, we need a response. Otherwise, we'll have to start legal procedures, which could affect your son's credit." My voice came out calm, steady, clearer than ever. "I don't have any family in Los Angeles." A pause. "I'm sorry, but according to our records, you're the mother of patient Ethan Miller." "Then your records are wrong." "That's impossible, ma'am. Your son provided this information himself." I cut her off. My voice unfamiliar even to me. "Then he made a mistake. I don't have a son named Ethan Miller. I don't have any family in Los Angeles, and I have nothing to do with the bill you're calling about." "But ma'am."
Goodbye.
I hung up. I set the phone down on the table. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding, but I felt something. I thought I'd lost strength, control. I felt myself returning to myself. For the first time, I said no to my son, and nothing fell apart. The sky was still blue. I was still breathing. 3 days passed, and Ethan didn't call. 3 days of complete silence. I didn't turn my phone back on after that call. I left it on the kitchen table, powered off, a reminder of the choice I had made. On the second day, Sophia stopped by. Have you talked to Ethan? No. Maybe he'll call when the hospital tells him I didn't pay. And when he does, I didn't know, but I did know. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud. On the third day, I turned my phone back on. 27 missed calls, all from Ethan. 15 messages, starting urgent, then desperate, then angry. The first, Mom, I need to talk to you now. Please call me. The third, Mom, the hospital said you refused payment. What's going on? The seventh, Mom, this is serious. Call me back. The 10th, I can't believe you did this. Call me now. The last, Chloe was right about you. You're always selfish. I read that word again and again. Selfish. The woman who worked 2 shifts for years. The woman who sold her late husband's store to send her son to college. The woman who scrubbed floors smelling of bleach so her child could have a future. Now I was selfish. There were 2 voicemails. The first was strained, almost pleading. Mom, please call me. The hospital's pressuring us. I don't understand why you told them you have no family here. What did you mean by that? Please call me. The second was cold. Never mind. We'll find another way to pay. But you should know this says a lot about you. After everything we've been through, I can't believe you'd do this when we need you most. Chloe was right. You've always tried to control me with money, but it won't work this time. I didn't call back. I didn't respond. The next week, Ethan kept calling less often, but still trying. I stayed silent until I received an email. The subject line read, "We need to talk." I opened it and read slowly. Mom, I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand why you're not answering. I don't understand why you told the hospital you have no family here. Do you know how embarrassing that was for us? Chloe cried. She felt humiliated when the hospital contacted her directly. We just had a baby. We're trying to adjust, and you do this. Dad used to say family helps each other in hard times. That we can rely on each other. I've always helped you when you needed it. When Dad died, I was there for you. When you were struggling, I listened. When you needed help, I helped. And now, when I need you, you do this. I don't understand how you've changed. Chloe just wanted a little privacy after giving birth. That's normal. But you took it as an insult. Now the hospital's threatening legal action. Our credit's at risk. All because you wanted to play the victim and deny your own son. Please think about this, Mom. Think about Liam. Think about your grandson. This isn't about you or me. It's about him. If you don't want to help, fine. But at least have the courage to tell me directly instead of this silence. I read that letter 3 times. Each line felt like a small knife cutting into my heart, making me feel guilty, selfish, wrong. And maybe for a moment it worked. I thought, maybe he's right. He's under pressure, a new father. He needs help. Maybe I'd been too harsh. Maybe I should call, apologize, make peace. But then I read that one line again, I've always helped you when you needed it. When? When had he ever helped me? When his father died, I was the one who held him, rebuilt our lives, sold the store, worked myself to exhaustion so he could study. Where had he been the last 2 years? When I was lonely, when I just wanted to hear his voice. When they excluded me from my grandson's birth. When they gave me 2 hours after a 12-hour bus ride. When Chloe treated me like a stranger. Where was he? There was no help, only silence and excuses. And now, because I'd set a boundary, I was the villain. I opened the reply window, typed and erased more than 100 times. I wanted to scream, to pour out every wound, every betrayal. But in the end, I wrote only this, Ethan, you're right about one thing. Your father did say family should help each other. But he also taught that family means respect, care, and not turning your back when someone you love needs you most. I asked to be close to you. I asked to see my grandchild. I had begged to be part of his life, but Ethan said I was intrusive, that I was a burden, that he needed peace at home. I traveled 12 hours just to meet Liam and you gave me 2 hours, 5 minutes holding him, then sent me away like I was an inconvenience. You never called when he was born. I found out through Facebook. You never included me in anything unless it involved money. I won't pay that bill, Ethan. Not because I don't love you or care about Liam, but because I can't let you keep treating me as if my only worth is financial. I'm your mother. I deserve respect. I deserve a place in your life. I deserve more than to be a name on a billing form. I hope you and Chloe find a solution, but not at the cost of my dignity. If someday you truly want a real relationship with me, one where I matter. 2, I'll be here. Until then, I wish you both the best. I sent the email before I could regret it, then shut down the computer. 2 hours later, a reply came, but I didn't read it until the next morning. Can't believe how selfish you are. Chloe was right about you from the start.
Goodbye.
That was it. No thought, no effort to understand. No apology. Just, Chloe was right, and
Goodbye.
the weeks turned into months. Ethan didn't call, didn't text. I didn't reach out either. At first, it was hard. Some days I picked up the phone, one tap away from calling, but I stopped. Some nights I wondered if I was wrong. But Sophia kept me steady. Eleanor, you didn't do anything wrong. You just set a boundary. That doesn't make you a bad mother. It makes you a woman with self-respect. I slowly learned to live with the silence. I stopped checking Facebook, stopped searching for Liam's photos, stopped wounding myself with glimpses of a life I wasn't part of. I focused on myself again. I returned to the knitting class, took morning walks, spent afternoons with Sophia. I reread old books that once brought me joy. Stories that helped me forget the pain for a while. And little by little, I began to feel something like peace. Not happiness, not yet, but peace. And for now, that was enough. 6 months after my last conversation with Ethan, Sophia asked me, "Do you regret it?" I thought for a long time before answering, "No, I don't." Why not? Because for the first time in my life, I chose myself. And that's worth more than any relationship I have to beg love for. Sophia smiled. That's the Eleanor I know. But life has a strange way of surprising us. Just when I had started to breathe again, to live more lightly, the phone rang. A number from Los Angeles. This time I didn't hesitate. Hello? Is this Mrs. Eleanor Vance? Yes. Hello? I'm Isabel Garcia, a social worker from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center? Yes. Please don't worry. Your daughter-in-law, Mrs. Chloe Peterson, was admitted in an emergency 2 days ago. She suffered a severe mental breakdown. She's stable now, but we need a family member to temporarily care for the baby. The baby? Yes, Liam. 1.5 years old. Your son is here with his wife, but he can't take care of both her and the child. He listed you as the second family contact. Second, not first. My son is still there. Yes. Would you like me to transfer you to him? No. The word came out instinctively. I understand, but we really need someone to pick up the baby. He's at a temporary care center, but they can only keep him until tomorrow morning. After that, we'll have to contact another agency. I closed my eyes. 1.5 years without speaking, without seeing, without hearing from them. 1.5 years of rebuilding peace. And now this. Mrs. Vance, what happened to Chloe? According to her file, she's suffering from stress, anxiety, and postpartum depression. She needs rest and treatment. Your son is by her side, but they're facing financial difficulties. He lost his job. They've been living with Chloe's parents. Tensions have been rising, and now everything has collapsed. You're their last option. I stayed silent for a few seconds. Can you come for the child? I thought of Liam, the innocent baby born into chaos. I thought of Ethan, how he had hurt me, pushed me away, and only reached out when he needed something. I thought of myself, the woman who had spent a year healing and finding calm again. Then I made my decision. I'll come because he was my grandson, and I would go on my own terms. I took the night bus. Another 12-hour trip, but this one was different. I wasn't begging. I was going because I chose to. When I arrived at the hospital, dawn was breaking. Ethan sat in the waiting room, exhausted, shirt wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, he broke down and hugged me. Mom, I'm sorry. You were right about everything. I just placed my hand on his shoulder. Where's Liam? At the care center a few blocks away. Let's go. On the way, he told me everything. He'd lost his job in Los Angeles, moved in with Chloe's parents, and everything fell apart. Chloe's depression, their marriage breaking down. I treated you terribly, Mom. I made you feel invisible. Now I understand. When we arrived, Liam was playing with a toy car. He looked up at me, curious. Hi, Liam. I'm Eleanor. I stepped closer. He hugged me, small, shy, and in that moment, something inside me healed. In the months that followed, I took care of Liam while Chloe received treatment and Ethan worked temporary jobs. I lived in their small apartment, cooking, cleaning, caring for my grandson. 2 weeks later, Chloe was discharged. When she saw me, she burst into tears. I'm sorry. I was scared. Scared I wasn't good enough. Scared you'd judge me like my own mother did. That's in the past. No, not yet. But I want to make it right. Please give me a chance. I gave her that chance. It wasn't easy. There were painful talks, tears, but we learned to rebuild. Not perfectly, but honestly. Ethan learned that a marriage can't survive by cutting out family. Chloe learned that fear and pride can destroy everything. And I learned that my worth doesn't depend on how much others need me, but on whether they respect me. Life has its own way of restoring balance. Ethan, who once pushed me away, thinking he was protecting his happiness, nearly lost everything. His job, his home, his pride. He realized that shutting out those who love you only leaves you lonelier. Chloe, who once saw me as a threat, crumbled under the weight of her own pride. She learned that perfection is impossible and that the help she once rejected was the very thing she needed most. And I, the woman once treated as invisible, became the one to catch them when they fell, not out of revenge, but because I chose to. The years that followed changed everything. Ethan found stable work. Chloe continued therapy. I visited often, but always kept boundaries. Liam grew up knowing he had a grandmother who loved him and who also loved herself. One day, Chloe told me my mother was never gentle. I swore I'd never let anyone hurt Liam like she hurt me. But in trying to protect him, I hurt you instead. Thank you for not giving up on us. On the anniversary of that hospital call, Ethan phoned, Mom, the day you said, I don't have family there broke me, but it also woke me up. It was the best thing you ever did. Justice didn't come through revenge. It came through lessons. Ethan learned that respect must be earned, not demanded. Chloe learned that pride only brings loneliness. And I learned that letting go with dignity is stronger than clinging in despair. A few years have passed. Liam is now 4.5. Every time I visit, he runs to me shouting, Grandma Eleanor. I don't have to beg for hugs anymore. I'm no longer the second choice. I'm his grandmother, and that's enough. Ethan and I talk every week, real, honest conversations. Chloe and I aren't close, but there's respect, and that's worth more than any forced affection. Last month at Liam's preschool graduation, he spotted me in the crowd, smiled, ran into my arms, and said, I love you, Grandma. Surrounded by other families, I finally felt like I belonged. Not because I begged for it, but because I deserved it. This morning, I looked into my old leather bag and took out 2 photos. One of Ethan as a child, and another of the 4 of us laughing together in the park. Both tell the same story of a woman who gave everything, was broken, learned to let go, and finally found herself again. If you're hearing my story, remember this: setting boundaries is the right thing. Saying no is the right thing. Walking away from those who don't value you, even if they're family, is the right thing. Because love doesn't mean enduring everything. Love also means respecting yourself. I once thought being a good mother meant always being there. But I've learned that being a good mother also means teaching your children that no one, not even them, has the right to make you feel worthless. Not every ending is happy, but some endings are fair. Now at 65, I'm happy. Not because life is perfect, but because my joy no longer depends on anyone else. I have my grandson, my son, an honest relationship, and most importantly, I have myself. And that's what matters most. What about you? Have you ever had to choose yourself when family disappointed you?